Probationary. Excuse me, I'm sorry. How are we doing?
I talked to John Martin at the
Well, I didn't make it this year. I'd love to get out there.
extended the entrance from where it used to be all around.
I enjoy that every year.
That's it. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the September 24th Mount Sterling, Ohio Village Council. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Please be seated. We're being streamed live, yes. I assume. Okay, very good. Where is my first? I've misplaced my first page. First page? Where's mine? Roll call, please.
Lowe.
Yes, I'm here.
Tom.
Present.
David.
Here.
Rebecca.
Here.
Tammy.
Here.
Becky. Here. All present.
Thank you. We do not have an executive session called. So before you have the minutes of the council meeting that was held on September 10th. I need a motion to accept the minutes from meeting on September 10th, 2018.
You have that motion.
Thanks, sir. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote.
Lowe.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Tammy.
Yes.
And Becky.
Yes.
Now I need a motion to approve the work session meetings that we had on September 11th, 2018.
Have that motion.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote.
Lowe.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Tammy.
Yes.
Becky.
Yes.
I need a motion to approve the work session meetings on September 17th of this year.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Third, vote.
Lowe.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Tammy.
Yes.
Becky.
Yes.
Thank you. Next order of business. We had an employee that was off on workman's comp from an injury. After approximately 6 months, he returned to work on September 14th, and he worked 2 hours, and he turned in his resignation. I have his written resignation here. Ronald Van Sickle resigns as of September 14th. I have all the documented paperwork. I need a motion to accept the resignation of Ronald Van Sickle.
I'll make that motion, sir.
Second?
I'll second.
Vote.
Lowe.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Tammy.
Abstain.
Becky.
Yes.
Okay, with that done, leads us into department reports. And I see Mr. Dill's not here tonight.
Correct. I'm not going to provide a report tonight, just sitting in.
That's fine. Is he off sick or?
Yes, he was sick today.
Okay, you'll have those days.
Yeah.
That leads us to the law director, Mark Pitstick, report.
Well, I have a brief observation. It has come to my attention that meetings are taking place outside the town hall in violation of the Open Meetings Act. I have discussed the matter with Dennis Grawl, the state auditor. I would just caution everyone that even if you're a committee and a committee of 3, if 2 members are at a meeting and you're having outside of town hall and it's not been publicized, you're in violation. So please, please, please be careful with the Meetings Act, and if you're having a public meeting, I just ask you, please be careful. That's all I have.
Thank you. That leads us into the utilities clerk, Misty Vance.
Well, we're going to, as you know, we'll be discussing more about the rates later in the meeting. But just a quick update for the year, year-to-date total of the revenue coming in, just a little over 700,000. Month-to-date, a little over 600 payments, and which total 77,000. Last month, we reached a little over 80,000. So, like I said, for the year, it's almost 710,000. But not near what we need, as we know, to cover our cost. There will be a couple projects worked on this week around the town. 31 East Columbus, and I think it's, I have it here somewhere, 28 North Clark Street. There's some sewer and water lines going to be redone, so they'll something to watch out for. That's about all I have.
I think those, are those going to be our people or private contractors coming in?
They're contractors.
That's what I thought.
We need to just go film in and what we know about the area, like the composition, what it's made of, how, the depth of everything. You know, just to let them know the things that we know from experience. So that's what they've requested from us.
Very good.
That's it.
Thank you. That leads us, that leads us to the village administrator, fiscal officer, clerk of council Courtney Bricker.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Got a big crowd here today. I usually start off with those of you that are maybe not, that view our YouTube meetings. Usually I do the village updates. And it's been kind of busy for the last week or so. We've had a lot of residents reaching out to us about some issues that they're experiencing. One of those was a water pressure issue on Wingate that was reported. So as everybody is connected to Facebook, was very aware that we had to open up 2 hydrants on Wingate, which at that point causes discoloration or low pressure or sediment. So, you know, that was one issue that we had. We also helped a resident on New Street that thought it was a water main break, but it actually was a water break in their yard, which let them have almost 29 units of water lost. So that was something that our water operator was monitoring it, and we actually got a contractor there, a local guy, to go over there and actually fix it that day. So the landowner and the renter was happy about that. We also got several work orders about, as we talk about past projects, we have a lot of projects that have gone unseen, and with the new administration, they're coming to us and saying, why has this not been fixed in over years? One of those being that there was a past project that was down on Shadle, and they had tore up 7 sections of the sidewalk. And at that point, we had old administration that never addressed it, and they want us to know who was going to actually, you know, finish or install that sidewalk back to what it was. And I'm currently working on that to see, you know, I've got to get the details of how the project was, you know, completed, whose responsibility it was. So it's taken us some time to, you know, get that information to that resident. We also have a alley that was built up over here beside Napa. And unfortunately, it's calling water to be, you know, on a slope, and it's now causing the water to go into their property, which, you know, causes their foundation to be disruptive. So that's another issue that we're looking into. Also, on a financial note, the audit from Perry & Associates has officially started. They are set to pick up the records from 2016 to 17 come Friday. So I'm making sure that that information gets to them so that they can start that audit. Also, with that said, I do get a lot of residents that now are aware of nuisance and abatement. There was a resident that reached out to me today about a cat population. So there's definitely several cats that are out there. I've notified the health department in that regards because one of the residents says that they believe they have rabies. So we'll be looking into that. So please do continue to report that to me or the nuisance committee. But we're working on that. Also, with Ohio Rural Water, which has been a big asset and a big helpfulness to this village in regards to offering free services. Thus far, they've offered free trainings to our council members, I know to our village employees. It doesn't stop there. They've actually gotten more money from the state to allow them to participate in other projects that sometimes the village lacks as far as equipment, the tools that are necessity to determine leaks and things like that. So with that said, they're actually going to do a leak survey. So I like to determine if there are any leaks around town that we can identify. And that could be a main break, that could be additional water coming into the manholes, from outside fields and things like that. That helps us to reproduce that and make sure that we can, avoid the I&I experience that we're having down at the sewer plant. We're hoping to have that done in October. We also are going to do a full distribution flush, which should have been taken care of when the new water plant was done, but never was. So they have offered their assistance to go ahead and complete and redesign our maps for us because the state has given them additional monies to do so that we can have some sort of digital electronic version of that, so that each time there are, roads or alleys or whatever that, either get designated or, new water or fire extinguishers, like for instance when the development comes down here, that we could just start adding to this map instead of not being able to find them in a paper version. So we are hoping to have that distribution flush in November. Valve exercising, that was something that was never performed in this village either. So when you have a resident that calls and says, hey, I need you guys to shut my water off, we take a special instrument and try to shut it off. Well, with age and weather and deterioration of those types of, metals, we can't have that performed. So what happens is we have a valve exercising schedule that we're going to be putting on now, that we go out there regularly and switch those valves, because if those are not exercised and they're not practiced, then we have a problem. We can't shut somebody's water off if they have a flood in their basement per se. So these are some of those preventions that we're looking into to make sure that this doesn't happen. Because
are they breaking Courtney then, as soon as you get to them?
We have some amazing videos of that.
Mm-hmm.
When they were trying to fix them live. It's just like a gusher coming up.
And that's what happens is we do fix them live. So, which, they should be exercised, because when something is obviously cannot be turned in several years, there's no schedule for that. Also, the employees next week will be determining water coming into our distribution. So, of course, I've always been talking about the I&I issue that we have down at the sewer plant. I feel that there are some water that is being put into the distribution system that should not be. So the guys will be opening manholes furthest away from town to see if there's water that's running off of fields maybe that are not hooked into a field tile. We're going to be checking that to see if we can prevent some of that water coming in, because again, more water comes in, the more money we're using to treat it. So that becomes a problem. So I'm looking into that for them to test that for next Monday. And like I said, there's a lot of, residents that are experiencing some issues that, are coming about now that we're trying to, take care of for them. But again, continue to, if you guys are experiencing any issues, to let me know. That's all I have for my village updates. My financials. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay, so on to the first report, the payment listings. Okay, so Wilson and Printing, if you guys look at that one, these were the checks that were approved by your finance committee from last council meeting. Wilson and Printing Graphics, those are the cardstock paper that everybody's bills are on, the blue paper that gets purchased each month. City Electric is actually for the stoplight out here. There's a the light to the stoplight out here at Main and London. One of them's working, so we've ordered another one to get a light bulb in there because it went out. Environmental engineering, that is the final payment for the rate study that was performed. WD Farms, since the press building is not operating, that is the hauling of sludge. A Media, that's the Madison Press, the advertisement for that, for the legals. And then the Postmaster of Mount Sterling, those are the pre-charging of the water bills and the stamps. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, appropriation status. As we know, the general fund is at 108.41%, which is good. We're still working with the state, as you guys know, daily with the auditors that ask for reports daily on the funding that goes in and out of the village, what's been expended, what revenues have been accepted, what you as a council have approved financially. That's something that the auditors ask of me daily. So I know you guys as council, I know you as finance, but for the audience, that's something that the auditors, because we're under this physical emergency. And again, I know we have a lot of audience here that may not be on YouTube or have heard most of these meetings, but since we're under this physical emergency, they do ask how money is spent, when it is spent, how much is spent, and staying within budget. And that's something that, I know the finance team does regularly, as well as myself as your physical officer. Also, if you guys go to the next pages here, I know I like to look at the water fund. 49% is very good, especially where we're at right now. We should be about 75%. We have really delayed a lot of, I don't want to say delayed, but cut out a lot of additional expenses. Again, to the audience here, if you guys view that Ohio checkbook program that the village has, you can definitely compare what has been expended in years past compared to what has been expended now. I know the finance team as well as myself, we definitely have worked hard to reduce those costs, and obviously here in this appropriation status it shows. That's really good. As far as the sewer, we're at 51%, which is incredibly under budget. But a few of those emergencies have been, brought to our attention, like the gearbox and, emergencies that, unfortunately we don't have an encumbered amount of money. We don't have a carryover, none of that. So unfortunately, any of those repairs that have to be done have to be taken out of the operation fund. And that causes a stress on all of your other line items that you have in here. Okay, so any questions on the appropriation status? The cash summary by fund. Okay, we have the general. The general fund is in a positive $196,000. It has been brought to, it has been known to me by the auditors that the monies that are in here from the capital improvement will be taken out of the general fund, and it will suppress the negative funds that we show here for the street and the state highway. That was voiced to me on Friday, and obviously will make a dent in your general fund. So they will be doing those balance adjustments and making those funds as a whole. So the negatives that you show there for the negative for the street is negative 44,000, and the state highways a negative 93,000. We can be safe to say that the general fund will no longer be in that positive status. Also, your water fund shows a balance of $228,158.74. We have the rest of the year to produce payments for employees, payments for chemicals, payments for operation purposes, electricity, gas, and all of our operational costs out of that $228,000, as well as loans at the end of before December. Any questions on that? Okay, receipt listings. As you can tell, they are typically our, usuals. A lot of my receipt listings are for the water and the sewer payments that we receive, and the RETA. Any questions on that? Okay, the comparison budget and appropriated. On this water operating fund, it does show that we are in a negative $173,000 for the water. That is on budget and appropriated. We are currently in the general fund. It is a positive $386,000, as well as 2 negatives in other funds. Now, we do need to be reminded, being under a physical emergency, we cannot allow any other fund to be in a negative. Obviously, I know that finance knows that because, we deal with it every day. But you cannot, under a physical emergency, allow any other fund to be in a negative. Any questions on that? Revenue status. Like I said, I like to show you guys what's been expended and also what kind of money comes in, as well as, receipted. That's why I think it's important to show you the money that's been received versus what's been spent. I know I like to take a glance at the general fund. It is showing a 95% of revenue increase, but again, that will be slowly dwindling once those adjustments have been suppressed to those other negative funds. Let's see. The other ones I like to look at is the water operating. That's at 82%. That's in hopes that the water plant doesn't have any other additional expenditures, like we've been, trying to, be very conscious. I know with the, I speak with the water operator daily on, making sure that lights are shut down, pumps are shut off. If you can get in there with a flashlight, it would be great. If there are, machines that can stay on idle, but unfortunately, with that said, is the plant was made to be in full operational 24/7, and you have a lot of backup generators in there that are using a lot of power. Again, for the audience that may have not seen other council meetings before, we've had a strategic data analytical person to come in and actually inspect every single pump, everything that's running in that plant, to actually see if there's any way that we can shut one down. But unfortunately, the plant's been made to operate the way that it has, and to put any let's say man-made solar panels or anything like that, that's going to cost a lot of money for that to happen, because those plants are supposed to be ran with electricity. We're still working. I know I am with Ohio Rural Water, with the operators. They're looking at every pump, how much it's pumping, what the voltage is, to see if those are shut down, but they're meant to be an idle in case one goes down, another one goes up. So, you know, that's still a continuous, you know, question that we all have every day. So that's your revenue status. And lastly, but not least, we have the RETA for September the 4th. On here, we are showing $30,000 that was collected. Second half is $2,183.06. Any questions on everything?
Courtney, on electricity on the water plant, is there any probability we could have an expert come in maybe and see what can be done, or have we ever thought about that?
That was the Ohio Rural Guy.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
We've actually had several experts.
Yeah.
We've had several experts.
But we actually had a free study that was done. I think I've addressed it each time we have a council meeting. He's an operator 4. He also, again, Ohio Rural Water offers these type of programs to entities like this that have, you know, obviously a need for high electricity bills, not only at a water plant, but a sewer plant, even like vac trucks that we have, that we hold down here. That's what he specializes in, what he's certified in. And unfortunately, it's, you know, shutting off a thermostat, but it's not really being shut off. And then we just have to go in and actually pull plugs. So it's been challenging. You know, it's been hot in there. I know it's with the heat and stuff. We've shut down the air conditioning for most of that. So our operators just, you know, kind of understand that. Any other questions on the updates, financial reports? Okay. You can motion for my stuff.
I will. Before you have a payment listing report. I need a motion to accept that payment listing report for tonight.
Got that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote?
Lowell?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Before you have an appropriation status report. Motion to accept that report.
Make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote?
Lowell?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Before you have a cash summary by fund report. Motion to accept.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Who second?
Rebecca.
Okay.
Vote?
Lowell?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Thank you. Before you have a comparison of budget and appropriated report. Thank you, Lowell. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote?
Lowell?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Before you have a revenue status report. Motion to accept.
Got that motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote?
Becky, got that?
Yeah.
Okay. Lowell?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
You missed the receipt listing.
Did I? Before you have a receipt listing report. We missed. Thank you, Lowell. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Vote?
Lowell?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
And you have a RETA report. Motion to accept the RETA report.
I'll motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Vote?
Lowell?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Thank you. On your agenda, you'll see that my report is due right now. I'm going to relinquish for a few minutes and go into department reports, if that's okay with you all. Right into department reports, and then I'll speak. So department report would be finance, Rebecca Burns.
Okay, we have not had a finance meeting, committee meeting since the last council meeting, but we do have one it's always the Mondays opposite council meeting, so our next committee meeting will be next Monday at 2 o'clock. But just because there are more people in the audience, I know with what Courtney just reported with the offsetting adjustments for street and state highway and our general fund will go back into the negative. This was part of our 5-year plan that we knew that we did not think we'd start seeing the positive till the end of the year. And this was a plan that Finance had come up with earlier this year to show how we could recover from the fiscal emergency, and that was approved by the state auditors and by this financial commission. So the fact that it's going back into the negative is not like any bad news for us. The fact that it even saw the positive for a little bit at this point, it's not surprising. So we're still, I feel, on track to be back where our 5-year plan is still in effect, and I think it's still looking good for what we projected out. So just kind of like a FYI that going into the negative, we just have to make sure none of the other funds do, and that's our responsibility. That's it for finance.
Thank you. Pleasant Township. Becky Martin.
Yeah, there were several residents that showed up at the Pleasant Township meeting Monday. They were just expressing concerns over the type of mower that's being used for the ditches and things out in the country. So the township trustees are going to be looking into different mower types. And there was just some questions about who checks finances and things like that. There was some questions about enforcement of pretty much nuisance and abatement in McClimusville. There's several things that have been filed against a certain resident, and they were kind of at a standstill on how to actually get it enforced. And then an update on the recycling program that will be started in Mount Sterling again. That will begin Monday, October 29th. They were hoping for September, but it's going to be the last Mondays of the month, and so that will begin in October, and it will be 9:30 to 11:30, and that will be located over at the United Church parking lot, the empty lot across from the church. There'll be a recycling program, and that will be monitored. There will be someone standing there. It'll be open for 2 hours. They'll pull in a big truck, and so you can bring in your recyclables, and they'll take them, but it's not a drop-off spot or anything. It's just going to be for that 2 hours, and it will be gone. So, but there's going to be flyers mailed out to all the residents about that, and they're going to get to Courtney as soon as they get the first flyer. They're going to get it to you so you can put it on the website. So that's about it.
Thank you very much. Squad, Mr. Anderson.
I missed the last squad meeting because of doctor's appointment. I'm going to bring you up to date on some things prior to August, prior to the last one. We discussed and talked to Proname about representation on the board. We have 2 entities that do not show up. They don't know. They never come. And so we've talked about, I've notified him, and he's working on that to get those people to send a representative to the board. We had 2 workers' comp claims because 2 of our employees were overcome by toxic gas on a run, and so we had those claims. We hired and dismissed some personnel by their choice, and then we replaced them. We approved the bills, one set of bills for $77,000 and another one set for $25,000. Financially, we're in good shape. The squad is also working with the banks, and we want to go into something to invest the money so that it doesn't go in CDs. We're working on that with Steve Proname and the banks. That's about it, I guess, on things that's of interest. The sweep, we want to talk to about a sweep account. So we're going to work on that. So that's so that we can invest the money and get the most for the dollar. That's all I have.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
Thank you very much. Fire, Tom Ward.
I have nothing at our meeting's not until Thursday night.
Okay, very good. Water and wastewater, Rebecca Burns.
Okay, well, as you heard, even with what we approved with the minutes, we have been doing work sessions lately. And of course, the focus of those have involved a rate study that we had received from a firm called Environmental Engineering. I think with even most of the new people that came onto council at this last election, one of the things that they had heard about was talk about potential rate increases, which I think was horrific for everybody. But as it became more and more apparent, because of outstanding OWDA loans secured by previous administrations, that once we started paying on the loans, there would be a shortage. So our work sessions had to do with going over these rate studies, looking at things very, very carefully and trying to make responsible recommendations for the village. And so our last rate study, of which a majority of council was present, was just this past Monday. And I believe the legislation will be coming forth later this meeting. So a lot of focus on the water and wastewater in the form of work sessions to go through these that rate study.
Very good. Jump right over to streets now.
At this time, nothing to report on streets.
And that leads you right into Parks and Rec.
And nothing to report on Parks and Rec. I know we need to schedule a meeting, but with Jack not being here, I will send out notice once we get a meeting scheduled.
Okay, very good. Record of retention, Mr. Anderson.
Nothing to report this time?
Nothing. What a nuisance and abatement committee we have. Tammy Van Sickle.
First of all, this Wednesday's committee meeting's been canceled. And it's been, our October meeting has been moved up a week because of trick-or-treat and Halloween falling when our committee meeting is. And I want everybody to know that we get complaint lists this long, we got a committee this small. So you have to bear with us on the complaints. Not all of them we can do anything about. We do our best to check them out. We've had properties we didn't know who owned, dug in, found owners, so you just have to bear with us there. So next meeting is October 24th at 3:30.
Very good. That takes us to Block Watch. Tom Ward.
Real quick, we went proactive on, we're getting ready for Halloween. We have some teams set up, and they will be on Halloween. They will be visible, and you will know they are Block Watch, and they'll be out there for the kids to try to slow down traffic and help keep the kids safe. And that's all, sir.
Very good. That takes it into my turn. I'm sure you're all here tonight because of the articles in the paper about the wastewater and the water study. Here it is. It was approximately 3 months in the making, and it was recommended to us by the state auditor that we had to have this done, that we have to follow the guidelines that was set up when these loans were taken out of increases that have not happened to pay for our debt that we have. It began back in 2012 with a sewer plant, with a simple improvement of a sewer plant, expanded sewer plant. But it skyrocketed into something else. It skyrocketed into a cooking plant. This magical plant that they spent $1 million or $2 million to build was going to be the savior for this community. They were going to cook the waste and they were going to sell it. And experts from other communities says it's all a fantasy, don't believe it. If it worked that way, everybody would have one, and everybody would be selling waste. It didn't happen. It requires a person being down 8 hours a day. It requires power, electric, gas. It requires chemicals. And we didn't have the community to sustain it, and we didn't have the places to sell it. It was not feasible for us. But the administration decided to build it anyhow, and they took out a $6.1 million loan. Now we have to pay that loan. Let me tell you something about your water bill. Your water's not high. It's the debt that has been incurred by the past two administrations that you're paying for. If you pay $34 on a water bill, it's earmarked. Over $20 goes to debt fees. So you're paying very little for water. You're paying very little for sewage. And when your water bill goes up, your water bill's not going to go up, but your debt bill's going to go up. You can call it a debt fee or administration fee. You can call it whatever you want. I call it stupidity of building a water plant 3 times as big as we require. I call it stupidity that we have a water plant out there that uses $10,000 worth of electricity a month, and it can't be cut back. It was made to run the way it was made to run, $10,000. It was made to pump out so many millions gallons of water that we don't use. We were promised that they would annex Burr Oaks. We were promised that they were going to build 40 new homes in order to acquire these loans. And nothing like that's happening. So we're stuck with this. These people are not at fault. Don't get on Faceless Book and criticize my people. They had nothing to do with it. She needs to be thanked. She's been saving the town all the money. She needs to be thanked. She's been finding all the shortcuts and all the back bills. This council needs to be thanked because when I took office, I was taken in that office in there the second day I was here. And the auditor said, I have 3 demands, Mayor Martin. First demand is you'll double the water bills right now. What's the second? You'll fire 4 people. What's the third? I want it done right now. And I said, that will not happen. I will resign before I put my community, who has just suffered being drugged through the gutter by the guy that's sitting up there in prison right now, and by other people that benefited. There's a lot of people that benefited from these 2 projects that we won't go into name calling. I said, the only way I can do that is if you go over across the street and get 3 pieces of rope. Why? Because I'll need all 3 of them to hang me, her, and her. Because my community is so upset they will not. I need time to work on trying to get another way of paying these loans. I need time to cut back expenses. I need time to research how we can cut back expenses on this water bill. I need time to look into solar power. I need time to look into grants. I need that time so that I don't put this burden on my whole community. And they've done a wonderful job. They all have. They work every day at trying to think outside the box to put the least burden on you people because of the past 2 administrations' stupidity. We have a total debt of a sewer plant and a water plant. This little community has a total debt of how many $1 million?
Several millions of dollars.
Several. It's more than several. It's more than several. We have to pay them every 6 months approximately $250,000. And at this rate, we're going to be broke in June. Now, I've already been told last week, the state of Ohio is not going to allow you to renege on them loads. You should have had that water bill increased 2 or 3 months ago. You people got yourself into this. You need to get yourself out, or we will. And you'll be the first guy to go. I said, me? I'm doing my job, don't worry. You'll have 6 other people following you out the back door. There'll be somebody right out there. He'll have a black suit on. You'll recognize him. And he'll put a sticker in the door. If you got any questions, email me. From now on, I run this town. I'm going in and tell her exactly what I expect out of her. And it better be done or I'll replace her. And then I'll go see her. And if she don't do what I tell her to do, I'll replace her. I'm telling you now, the county will not allow you to renege on those debts come June. They won't allow it. They'll come in here and they'll run this town. And everybody will like it. Trust me, they'll like it. Because your only other option is unincorporate. I've got contracts, I've got pieces of paper, I've got all kinds of stuff right here. The past administrations, they were forgiving administration. Do you know how much? Right here, this one piece of paper. They forgiven. They were in a good mood. $7,000. Just a swipe of a paper. 3 years ago. And these papers are laying all over the place. I've been told that in one time they come in here and wiped out $70,000. What for? They didn't want to bother with it. They didn't want to put up with the argument. They didn't want to try to explain it. So they just wiped it out, which put you in debt, probably $10 million. Now, we're going to have to pay for their stupidity. We're going to have to, our kids are going to have to pay for it, and our grandkids are going to have to pay for it. That's all there is to it. It's got to be paid. Now, if anybody's got a good idea, at the end of this meeting, you're going to have an opportunity to talk. And I enjoy constructive criticism, but I cannot tolerate stupidity. And that's what we've been putting up with. This is I was told not to run for this job. You're retired. You got it made. Don't get in that mess. I know what's in that mess. I said, well, somebody's got to get in there and try to straighten it out. And I've got until 2/19 to do it. And these people volunteered to come in here and try to straighten this mess out. They're not to blame. She's not to blame. She saved you thousands and thousands. She saved you thousands and thousands of dollars. But the fact of the matter is, the man said, if you don't do it, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And I'm not going to allow you to shoot yourself in the foot and renege on a loan. I'm telling you right now, I want that loan paid in June, or you people won't be there. We'll make sure it gets paid. With that said, we're going into ordinances and resolutions. First resolution is 2018-52. It's a resolution declaring benefits packages. As if you've all been paying attention, you know what that's all about. For non-exempt village employees, this is on the second reading. And this is because we have two dedicated, thank God we've got two that have hung around, two dedicated employees, and one has received his Class 1 water license. We got another one going to take a test for his wastewater in October. They need to be thanked whenever you see them on the street. They're hard-working people. They don't get paid enough. Hopefully this benefits package will make some of it up. So I need a motion to place this on the second reading.
You have that motion.
Thank you. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Vote.
Lowell.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Tammy.
Yes.
And Becky.
Yes.
Thank you. That leads us into ordinance 2018-54. This is an ordinance establishing a wastewater rate. A wastewater rate only for the village of Mount Sterling. I'm putting this on the first reading. I need a motion to place the wastewater rate from this study. It's the minimum rate increase to cover our loans is what it is. You're all welcome to read it, by all means. I need a motion to put ordinance
Mr. Mayor,
218-54.
Can I speak for a second?
Yes, you can.
People, Bill works I know he works hard, and I know we're all here, and everybody knows how I feel and stuff, but Bill has worked so hard, and I know it's going to be hard on a lot of us, but he loves this town, and I growed up in this town, and we need to support our town. I know we're in hard times, while another bunch of people did, and I just want to say that in this situation, we need to support our mayor, and maybe one day we'll get out of this mess. But he bleeds this town. I gotta say that for Bill. He bleeds this town. Thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome. Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. A second.
You got it.
Thank you. Vote.
Discussion?
Discussion?
We have it on first reading tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it's on first reading. Is that what you're asking?
No, I was asking, was there discussion?
Yes, go ahead.
I didn't know if was this the appropriate time?
Yes.
Just one thing I wanted to point out, because this is something that has been agonizing to me personally for quite a while. I actually went and requested copies of all the OWDA loans, all the outstanding loans, and we're talking a major, huge pile of paperwork that you can see all kinds of claims, and as Billy said earlier. But there was one sentence that caught my eye in each of all the legal mumble jumble paperwork on each loan, and that was money for the loan could be paid out of your capital improvement fund. Could. So we have over $200,000 right now in capital improvements. This was Friday. I started asking questions because I keep looking every day, what can we do to not pass so much of a burden on to the residents and the businesses? Because Lord knows everyone here has already paid a high enough price. I started to ask a lot of questions because I did not think there was anything else possible but the rate recommendations we came up with last Monday. When I heard that there is a possibility, but it would mean we would have to change our 5-year recovery plan, that we would have to get approval from the state. I mean, there are hoops to jump through. But what that told me is that there is still a possibility, I feel, that it may not need to be quite as extreme. I did receive, like I said, checking with the state. What that means is some of the RETA money that's already being paid. That's, when I talk capital improvements, the money that's in there is ultimately from the RETA taxes that everyone has paid in. So I think that it's to me a possibility. I still want to continue to look at every avenue possible, even if it's taking a portion of the payment away that is being passed on to the residents, which everyone I know does not want to do. I just know that this is something that I think we all take very, very seriously. If there's any way to save even some money, then I think that's something that we need to look into.
We have looked into it, Rebecca. We've called the auditor. And
I have an email from the auditor.
And we can always change it after the first reading. But the auditor's comments to me Friday was, look, if you're not doing this, you're shooting yourself in the foot, people. You're just putting off the inevitable. Right here is the amount of loans.
Mm-hmm.
Water, $9,555,000. $9,055,000. Here's the amount on the sewer, $3,781,000 that your administrations have tagged you all with. Now it's our job to get them paid. I don't know what they was thinking when they took that. How are we going to pay this? Maybe they thought they was going to hit the lottery or something. But the fact of the matter is, I understand where she's coming from. She puts a lot of time and thought, and she and I work together. We won't always agree, but she's doing a wonderful job trying not to put the burden on each household. This made that burden as least as possible. Every water meter in town has to pay a debt fee. The water fee is a minimal fee. That's the most fair way that we could come up to do it. There is some exceptions as far as industry and stuff like that. We went through all this. We've contacted the county to help those people that can't pay their water bill. You know, we're trying to apply for a water grant to get new water meters to make sure all those water meters are reading correctly. We're not sitting in here doing nothing. Trust me, these people are hard at work every day thinking outside the box, which obviously no one did 6 or 8 years ago. So, any other comments about Ordinance 21854? Yes, sir.
Would it be possible, with what Rebecca was just talking about, that we could table this long enough to investigate a little bit farther and get some actual figures?
It's possible that we can pass this, and you got 2 weeks to investigate. You got 2 weeks to do research. We can modify this in 2 weeks. If you come up with this offer that's too good to be true, like some of the stuff we've got built out there now, I'm willing to sit down and talk about it. But we need to pass it on the first reading. Then if you want to go back and research something else, by all means, go research it. You got 2 weeks to come in here and change this. But if it doesn't pan out, we'll put it on the second reading. The auditor wants it done. Any other discussion? Vote.
Lowell.
Yes.
Tom.
No.
David.
Yes.
Rebecca.
No.
Tammy.
No.
Becky.
Yes.
3 yeses and 3 nos.
I guess I'm the tiebreaker?
You are?
Yes. Let's get this done. That brings us to Ordinance 2018-55. This is an ordinance establishing a water rate. Now, on this study, the water was supposed to go up when they started this. It's all in the contract. You're supposed to be getting the water rate increase every year. What happened to that? Didn't happen. We just found out. So, the water has to go up. That's the unit of water that you use up. It's going up a minimum. We wanted to do it that way so that it would have the least impact on people with families. Working families that use a lot of water with kids and pools and gardens and lawns. We tried to make the debt fee even for everybody. Everybody has to pay the same amount on the debt fee. That's that $12 million. Everybody's got to pay it up until the year 2047. Some of you may not be paying then, but your kids will be. Now I need an ordinance, 2018-55. This is to establish a water rate for the village of Mount Sterling. Slight increase in water rates. I need a motion.
I'll give you the motion.
Thank you. A second. Thank you. Vote.
Who was the second?
David?
Discussion.
Discussion.
I want to say this. It's hard for me. I've been a resident, but I don't want to see this town disappear. We got to keep our local government, and once they do lock the doors, they're going to lock the doors, and it's hard for me. And I love this village very much, but I just want to see the day where we don't have a say and let the states say it. And I think we need to listen about all this.
And I'd like to discuss something. We get no pleasure in this, trust me. We have banged our heads against the wall, against the desk. We've made hundreds of phone calls in the last 10 months. We've talked to dozens of water experts. We've talked to the auditor every week. We've talked to the Attorney General. We've talked to everybody that's getting sick and tired of us talking to them. So the least impact on my village for this study. This is what the final analysis was. This is what this is. These two ordinances. This is what the minimum is to pay our debt in December and have the money in our account to make our debt payment in June. Because once we pay our debt in December, we're broke.
You need an extension for another minute or some more time.
We don't need much time. I'll need an extension, a 15-minute extension.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to say something. Yeah, we don't go into this, without heavy hearts at all. I'm a resident, I own a business too, so my water bills are going to double 2 places. And some of you are probably in that same situation. And we understand some of you have fixed incomes. We understand you have budgets that you really need to adhere to. This is absolutely not what we want to do. But we have had a rate study. And the increases that we're proposing in these 2 ordinances is the bare minimum to make our payments and the bare minimum to cover improvements and repairs. We are not trying to sock it to you and get all we can. We are trying to do the very minimum. And you have my assurance that if for some reason we would get some big windfall and money from another source, then we can revisit this. None of us are here to get rich. We are up here because we love the community and we love all of you people, and we do not want this community to fold. So we have to make these tough choices, and I don't want to do it, but we have to do it.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Just a couple comments about the, when I hear the rates doubling, that's not necessarily true. Like if somebody gets normally a $75 water bill, it's not going to go up to $150. It's going up on the base of it mainly. So, that's one thing that I've heard that was going around. They're doubling, and that's not the case for everyone. And that's why he's putting it on we're looking at putting it on the first unit. Another thing was another reason we didn't do the rates and divide it over the units used across the city, because they go up and down, so we can't account for that or depend on that that money coming in. Someone that might use 10 units in the summer every month might use 2 or 3 in the winter, so we can't count on that. That's another reason we just that factored in on putting it on the main part, the debt, the first unit.
Very good.
You need to have an extension, a motion for an extension.
Yes, I need a motion to extend a meeting.
Got that motion.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote.
Lowell? An extension?
Yes.
Half the hour. Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Thank you. Round table. Pardon?
Yeah, we got to
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought she just did.
for the extension.
For the extension.
Oh, vote for the extension. You're right. I'm sorry. Vote for the extension.
Already did. They voted for the extension. Now
We need the ordinance.
the ordinance.
The water ordinance.
Oh, we didn't vote for that. Okay, let's do that. We've been busy talking.
Tom?
No.
David?
Yes.
Rebecca?
No.
Tammy?
No.
Becky?
Yes.
Yes. So it'll be on the third reading, Pardon? No, with the first package, benefits package. Second reading on the both ordinance. Round table. Time for you all to, round table's you.
I just want to say, I appreciate how people do turn out, and that's why we have this freedom of speech and stuff, and I'm glad the people are here. And just seeing them here, one way or the other, just good to see a full house.
Very good. Nobody want to mouth it?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
this was a complaint that I wrote, or I say I wrote, this is a complaint I received from a village resident that I brought in, and I left a copy of this on your door.
Yeah.
And I found this in my mailbox on the wall in there.
Yeah.
And with your with reply on that, so are you telling me this is what you want me to give that resident?
I'm telling you, your job is to tell that resident to call me. That lady worked for me.
I did.
Tell him to call me. If that phone's not getting answered, call me.
He came to me, and me being a council member, I took his complaint, I put it in writing, he reviewed it.
You
This is
needed
his
to
word,
tell that,
not mine.
you needed to tell that resident to call me.
Okay,
Call her boss.
okay, so you're telling me to give this to the resident?
I'm telling you, you was gonna put that in a file. Put it in a file. But that lady works for me. She works for me. If that phone's not getting answered, I want to know about it.
I represent the villagers.
I know you do.
Okay, if they come to me for a complaint, I'm going to take that complaint, I'm going to put it in writing, and I'm going to bring it in and say, here, you've got a problem with water, you got a
You
problem
don't
with
have to put it
street.
in writing. Tell that resident to call me.
No, I want a paper trail.
I'm the
That way I can say,
administrator,
yes,
I'm
I
her
did hand
boss.
it in.
If that phone's not getting answered, I'll find out why.
There it is.
You got a lot of people out there just complaining to be complaining.
Well,
That's why they
I'll
call
make
it
a copy of
faceless
this
book.
to everybody here. This is a public document. I turned it in to the mayor. He's telling me to tear it up and throw it in the trash.
No, I didn't tell you that.
It's written down on here.
I said, put it in your file if you want.
So I will make sure I've got plenty of copies. Everybody can see it. Everybody that's listening in TV land, okay, it is a public document.
But I'll tell you and the rest of the council, your responsibility is fiscal responsibility. Somebody complains to you, tell them call me. Call me or call me, her, village administrator. If there's a problem in this office, I want to know about it.
I know for many years that these residents had problems with other administrations.
Well, they're not having a problem with me. I'll answer the telephone.
I'm putting it in writing, and then I'll
You
hand it in.
put it in writing.
That's all.
But
Thank you.
I want to hear from whoever's complaining. Is that done with round table? It's your turn now. What we do is we allow you 2 questions. Or if you want to make a comment, 2 minutes. It's your turn now to tell these people, yes, sir.
I'm here in regards to the ordinance and the alley between my business and Sunoco.
Yes.
I don't believe it should be an ordinance. I mean, I'm being blocked for 4 to 5 hours sometimes at a time during the day, 3 to 4 times a week.
We looked into that, Tim. There's 4 entries into your business, and I'm not saying the guy don't park there. I've had to go around the block myself. There's 4 entrances to your business. If one of them's blocked, you got 3 more. I can't believe somebody will not turn around and go in another entrance if they're going into your business like I do.
What about how many people pass through the town that don't live here?
I don't know how many people pass through the town, but I realize each business has to have an unloading area.
He has a whole unloading area.
Okay.
He has a giant parking lot. He blocks it. For example, Thursday, both alleys blocked for over an hour and a half. Both alleys on the back. Then, okay, Pepsi unloads his truck in Sunoco's parking lot. It is done unloading. Gets up, gets in his truck because he's being instructed to. Pulls over to block the alley for another 2 hours while he sits inside.
Then if he's blocking it that way, I guarantee you, we'll take care of it.
It's happening like...
Write it down.
It's supposed to be a half an hour ordinance. Every truck is there way past half hour.
All right. Or it'll be in his driveway.
But they're not in his driveway. They're blocking their...
If they're going to take more than 30 minutes, they're going to be in his driveway.
Yeah, but I mean, I promise you, they're literally being instructed to block me off.
No,
And it's
that won't be tolerated.
It's happening, and it's...
It'll be
peak hours.
taken care of. You got that wrote down, right?
Sure do.
I'll be over there tomorrow.
I mean, would you guys allow me though, Billy, to, let's just use for example, okay, you guys own the Dairy Freeze. Okay, say I open up across the street where the car lot is. Would I be allowed to block your main entrance for 3 to 4 hours, 4 times a week? Even though you could get to you
Not
from
fair.
down the street?
Not fair.
No, it's not. It should be a visitor. He does not deserve the right to do that.
It'll be taken care of tomorrow.
As part of nuisance, if I can do anything, Tim, I will look into it.
That's,
I will find the ordinance.
and
I
that's
have not found the ordinance
Well,
yet.
that's a public alley, I believe, also. And my concern also is for the fire station, for the volunteers that need to park. Because I do have, I have pictures where trucks are blocking that for extended periods of time, and it's something that does need to, I think, be looked at.
The ordinance was literally put in. No, I mean, nobody else cares about it. When I opened up 10 years ago, it was a joke between the owner and the manager about how they'd have me out of business in 6 months. Literally right after that, they came down and got an ordinance passed, right after I opened, to block me from business. They've been doing it for 10 years.
What year was that, Tim?
What? 2008, Memorial Day weekend, is when I opened up. It happened right after that. They went and got an ordinance.
we'll take care of it tomorrow. Guaranteed.
I really appreciate it.
Guaranteed. No problem. That's what we're up here for.
Mr. Mott, now I'm the gentleman that took your report. I typed every single report out that I gave you, that you gave me, okay? And it's signed by you and your father, and that those are your words, not mine. And I turned the reports in to the proper people with all the pictures that you provided. And the council has them, and so I did my part for you, brother.
Did you turn them in nuisance and abatement or
Streets.
Streets.
streets? Okay. We'll take care of it
Let's
tomorrow.
be fair for everybody as well, too. Let's be fair, right?
Yes,
being fair.
we're all being fair.
Well, we have other businesses that do the exact same thing. I have pictures on my phone too,
I'm cool with that.
and those have been recent. That I have pictures too. That unfortunately that happens with everybody because there's no load that they can
but
unload as well.
It's not happening when they're like, it is literally being instructed, and I promise if you like me take videos every week, it is being instructed to block me. When his in parking lot's completely empty, they'll take the small Hunt Brothers truck, that is a small box truck. He'll sit there for 2 hours, pulled all the way up to where the stop sign is in the dead middle, and he has 10 other spots in that parking lot.
We'll take care of
But
it.
literally, that's been happening for 10 years.
We'll take care of it, Timmy. I'll be over there.
I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Next. Wow, that was easy. Nobody? Yes, ma'am.
I still have an alley that has a hole almost all the way across the town.
We got several alleys that still got holes across them, and I told her,
Yep.
I gave her pictures.
good.
But what happens, and help me understand this part. What happens when you put, say, grind in them? What happens when you got weather like this?
I put gravel in, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And unfortunately, there becomes an issue when we talk about capital improvement, just like what council just discussed up here. Using some of that money to pay off some of your loans. Guess what happens? Guess what happens to everybody's capital improvement projects out here, like your incidents? Guess what? Doesn't get done.
Well, you still got people.
That's right. So that's
Everything running up down.
That's right. So that's what we have to look at when we start talking about using capital improvement monies to take care of loans. That's what happens with you guys as residents. And like
We're on the back burner until.
no,
No, you're not. No, you're on my.
That's not what I said.
You're on my front burner. I told her last week, while they're still mixing blacktop, we need to get a load and go through every alley in town and get to all the small potholes. There's going to be big potholes next spring that the contractor didn't get. And of course, she throwed money up in my face just like she did you. But I'm still going to talk to her, and we're still going to get some blacktop or something and go around all the alleys. I can take you around town. I've driven all around town in the alleys, and some of them are still pretty bad. And grind is a Band-Aid with this kind of weather in Ohio. We need blacktop in those holes. Next. Yes, ma'am.
We have a parking issue on Wingate. Something needs to be done.
You're only allowed to park one side, right?
One side, and I've got 3 notes on my car to move it because it's parked in front of somebody else's house.
Huh?
No parking. We have major issues.
They have parking on one side of the street. I had spoke to the, I believe it was the fire department, but don't quote me on that, that there was an issue where they could not get the trucks down there if there was an emergency.
But I would agree
Due to
with
that.
that, but I know where Rebecca lives, there's no way they can get a fire truck down that road. You can barely get a car down that road when they're coming head on at you. That needs to be a one-way street.
That needs one side parking. They park
It
on
needs
both
something,
sides.
Because they got a boat sitting there, and when they're got the boat sitting there and a car in front of it, and a car in front of it, and then the truck that pulls up to the house with his rear end hanging out in the street, and you're trying to dodge cars to get in and out of that street.
You are. They
So we've got issues, and I mean, why is it just Wingate that's going through this?
Good point.
we've got that.
It was
We've
previous
got.
administration that voted.
It
that.
was. They allowed, best example, Autumn Hayes. Go to Autumn Hayes. You park on one side of the street and you barely got room to walk down the other side of the street. I mean,
Jefferson Street.
it's horrible.
Jefferson
So,
Yep.
we've already contacted these people and said, look, you know, the new homes that are going to be built out behind the IGA, behind the drugstore, this street thing in on my desk, that's not getting it anymore. You know, we need a wider, you're going to have to put a wider street in. They come to us recently and wanted us to put the street in behind IGA. If we wanted a good street, we had to put it in. No, we're not putting anything in. You're going to put a street in, and you're going to put it in wide enough that they can park on both sides and somebody can go down the middle, or you're not going to build.
Can they knock the curbs down to where we can park?
Pardon?
Can they knock the curbs down some, take the grass out, do something clear?
Oh,
to the sidewalk
Miranda's,
so people park?
you're lucky to have curbs out there, honey, with Miranda. They're not going to take anything out.
Well, I know they're not, 'cause
We're,
they're done. They're
we're
done.
fussing with them right now. I heard they just covered up a manhole cover with gravel. And the first house on the right, we gotta go check it out tomorrow. You can't do
How
that.
about the splittings of your asphalt?
Yeah, the splitting of your asphalt. We're
That's
into it.
$40,000. Guess where that comes from? Capital improvement.
Yeah. So we're bickering with them all the time, and I understand your problem, but the streets is built. So I don't know as far as, we'll have to check the ordinance to see about parking there, see what it
It was
says.
past administration, I think, that had made it that way.
We're
He
blaming,
come out there,
Yes.
put
we're
the
blaming
sign
everything
up
on the past
in front of
administration.
Rice's house
Yep.
and put no parking on the other side and have all the mailboxes moved to one side.
Yes,
And I told Courtney about it.
yes.
Very good. Next. Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
If I understood Courtney correctly, I believe she said that the water revenue was at 170
Negative?
negative. Okay, so we're 3/4 through the year. Do you anticipate with the remaining quarter that will be on pretty much an even keel to what it was projected to be?
Well, the report that you're referring to is for the comparison of budget and appropriated. So this report works a little bit differently. It's not what is actually currently in the fund as of today.
Is this the new report that
Yes.
they, this is a new report, they just came out recently that you not aware of, Diane. They just came out with this
Yes, so
3
basically,
months ago.
basically what this comparison to budget is that whatever was budgeted for the 2018 budget compared to what will be appropriated in the future shows that this fund will be in the negative. This is what this report shows. This is a comparison of your budget to what was been expended.
Could we have a copy of that?
Yes.
How do we get a copy of this
Rate
state
study?
report?
Rate study,
Yeah,
just walk up here and pick it up
right now?
if you like.
Well, is that your own, how many copies do you have of that?
I can make
Oh,
some.
Okay.
I can get somebody else's copy. Here, pass
Well,
that.
I mean, I don't need it.
No, of course.
But I mean, I'm
We,
just wondering if people have access to a copy of that.
but in the,
Billy,
yes, ma'am.
question. Weren't we going to schedule a presentation? The person that did the rate study, he's gonna come
Yes.
in and do a presentation for everybody and go over everything step by step and where all the money will go and what's needed.
Yeah,
Um,
there'll be a town meeting with
Frank?
Frank. with environmental engineering, and he can explain it much better than I can. They did a lot of research. I was really in awe of how they went back and researched every expense, every loan, every payment, very thorough.
Yep,
And
second week of October.
second week of October.
And my second question, just to put this more in layman's terms, can somebody just like give an example of if you use 2 units of water and 2 units of sewer, what is your bill going to be?
It's right in there.
If these ordinances.
It's in here. Your debt fee. That's the big thing on your water bill. Right now it's $20.40. Because debt fee. Now we're dissecting a water bill. You have a debt fee, you have water, and you have sewage.
I'm just talking about the bill that somebody is looking at that they've got to come over here and write a check for.
That's what I'm telling you. $20.40 of that has been estimated up until now to cover
Restricted
our
for debt
debts.
services.
That's not counting this
Water.
$12 million.
Okay.
So now,
Let me ask it this way. If my bill every month is $46.46, that's my combined water sewer bill, what will my bill be if these ordinances that you all put out here?
For the water and the wastewater, I believe will be an additional, on top of the regular bill, a debt service fee of, I think it's $50.85.
Yes.
that's on debt service.
That's a debt service that
Debt
would be on
service fee.
top of the rest of the bill, then that would be shown separate out on your bill.
On each bill for each user?
Each resident
Yes.
will see an additional $50.85 regardless of how many units they use. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so that rumor out there is true then?
No.
That there'll be an additional $50
Yes,
a month per residential user
yes.
henceforth
Yes.
after these ordinances are passed?
Exactly.
And that's what Misty was referring to earlier. Like, if you already have a $100 bill, it's not gonna double to 200, it's gonna go up to 150. But if you have a $30 bill, it's gonna go up to 80.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that's what people have
Yeah,
understood.
it's,
And
yeah.
what I'm hearing out there, and you call it faceless book, whatever, Facebook.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But behind every Facebook user, there is a face. Okay, so it's not faceless by any stretch.
Yeah, that's your
But
opinion.
you know what? That's the only place that a lot of people in the village right now are getting their information. It's not on the village's website, I can assure you, that agendas are not on there. Minutes, if you can find an up-to-date anything, gee, that's great, because I have not been very successful at all in finding a whole heck of a lot of current information on the village's website, and that to me is not the transparency that a lot of people up there ran on,
You are right, Diane.
including you, Mr. Mayor, with all due
Yeah,
respect.
I did, you're right.
That is not
And I'll talk to the gentleman tomorrow about updating that webpage.
Well, the gentleman, if that's Jackie Dill, why does Jackie Dill have that singular responsibility that is so important to all of us? The flow of democracy is, can't happen without accessible information. It can't happen. Democracy dies in darkness. That's on the banner of the Washington Post. And I thoroughly agree with it. And you just can't. And Jackie Dill has not, with all due respect, love Jackie, hell of a nice guy. But he has not kept pace with the village's website. He never has. I mean, that's always been a touch and go situation, and we all know it. And that's not right.
I didn't know it until tonight. I was under
you
the
don't wanna
assumption he
operate
updated
on
it.
rumor and innuendo, and who's exchanging what gossip at the coffee shop. We want factual information, so we can be an informed citizenry that can make meaningful contributions on the civic level.
All right,
That's all we want.
all right.
Well, let's be fair too to everybody too, is that, you know, the comments I've seen, believe me, I'm Facebook patrol. I see what everybody posts. I try to communicate and comment on every single thing that happens. Now, it is not an ORC. It is not an ORC law that we have to have an updated website. That's a fact.
But that's what you.
But I understand. Let me go. Yeah, I know, but let me go ahead and explain. It's not an ORC code that we have to have an updated website. Okay, and I get that, and I completely agree with you of the information that's not put on there is too. But let's be fair too when, you know, we see, you know, so-called water Nazis or the good old boy system. I mean, and it is. I feel that, you know, the facts is, I'm more of a person, and I think council's more of a person as well as the mayor, is that if there are issues or conversations, we welcome them. We welcome them. Call me. Leave a message. Return the calls. You know, allow us to. That's right.
To me, and I've asked you many questions.
So
and
let's be.
I don't put a whole heck of a lot on Facebook because that's just not the place.
And it's not. And it's not. And I totally agree with that. But let's be fair too. Is when we make comments of, you know, the good old boy system. I mean, we all know what happened with Joe. I mean, we all can say that. I've seen writings on the wall, literally, where it says the good old boy system. And let's be fair to, you know, we're administration that came into this. We all did. Well, I'm just saying for me. We came into this situation the way that it is. And let's be fair all the way around, and that if there is a comment or there is a question, I'm not going to not deny you. I'm going to answer you. People may not like the answer, but we're going to be responsive. And we are going to be responsible. When we do have a concern like yourself that wants to have things on the website, we will deliver it.
Well, I mean, like these ordinances that you all have a first reading on, they're not on your web page. How can someone decide whether or not they want to come and participate in a meeting when they don't even know what ordinance y'all are going to be voting on?
I agree.
Or what's even on the agenda? Not even an agenda. I mean,
I agree.
You can't have civic engagement if you don't have information, a flow of information. For God's sakes, we don't have a newspaper anymore, really.
Diane brought a good point about the Madison Press, which we don't have that. And there's a lot of people in town that don't have computers, and that paper was very important to them. And it's a sad day when we don't have a newspaper. I agree with you 100%.
We'll take it up tomorrow with Jackie. We'll put somebody else.
Bring that responsibility under the purview of the administration. That's an administrative function.
We will.
Is it not?
A
clerk's function? I mean, I'm not saying you specifically. You are the village administrator.
No, I'm not. I've not been a title.
She's our fiscal officer.
And unfortunately, we had a village administrator that did a village administrator work. I just happened to inherit those issues. I happened to come in and perform those work duties.
And he didn't update it.
And unfortunately, we have two employees. We used to have 7. I mean, you know, there's only so much all of us can handle.
Basically, isn't this the job of, say, the clerk? I mean, it used to be, Bonnie used to keep minutes and
yeah, she didn't do village administrator or physical officer duties as well.
Oh, please, Diane. Don't get me started on Bonnie. She only cost you a couple $300,000.
I'm talking about responsibilities.
She didn't do anything.
I don't think the sheriff, it's his responsibility to be the conduit of information.
He's our Parks and Rec director, and he volunteered to do it because I don't know how to do it. Now, I'll take care of it tomorrow. I'll make sure that Misty is in there making sure if he don't do it, she will. If she don't do it, she will. So there. All right?
Will?
Anybody?
I'll hold you to it.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Speak up now. We're adjourned. Thank you all.
Excuse me.
That way.
Yeah, honey.
Doesn't go back, though.